Karibu, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa. Tafadhali tuketi chini wale mko na viti. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Gavana wetu wa Nakuru, Mheshimiwa Moses Kuria, Waziri husika, Principal Secretaries present, the leadership of National Youth Service, wazazi wote waliotembea katika sherehe hii ya muhimu, na graduates, distinguished guests. Kwanza mimi nataka nipongeze wasimamizi wa NYS, mwenyekiti, Director General na kamati yote na wale officers wote walioshiriki katika mafunzo ya hawa vijana wetu wa Kenya. And I am glad to be here as we celebrate the achievements of our youth in their preparation to serve their nation and mark another important milestone for the National Youth Service community who have made this event possible. An event like this is particularly important because its role in reminding us of the substantial reasons we have as a people of Kenya to be hopeful about the future despite the challenges we face. Old and familiar threats of war, conflict, insecurity, underdevelopment, famine, disease, and crime have been joined and intensified by terrorism, transnational organized crime, pandemics, and climate change. Consequently, states around the world are combating these threats to a great extent, with an increasing number struggling at enormous cost on livelihoods and economic development. Under these conditions, high rates of population growth have not only increased the number of citizens overall, many national populations of developing countries grow younger by the decade. Our continent now has the world's youngest population with a median age of 19, and 25 countries with the youngest median age are in Africa. What this means is that the youth are no longer just an indispensable component of society. They define the basic character of our nations and determine the direction and speed of our journey into the future. Depending on the effectiveness of the measures taken to prepare for the present and future, young people are likely to inherit the problems that bedeviled older generations and struggle under their worsening impact. This is the essence of the two contrary perspectives of Africa's youth phenomenon. On one hand, there are opinions which see in the population explosion the threat of serious instability on account of having too many young people who are unemployed and vulnerable to various socioeconomic, health, security, and climatic shocks. To this school of thought, the young people represent a ticking time bomb, which will explode sooner or later into a myriad of acute socioeconomic and political problems. On the other hand, there are perspectives which see in the youth a stronger capacity for effective harnessing globalization, innovation, and leadership in newer, more positive directions. Contrary to the youth bomb perspective, this standpoint perceives the runaway budding of our population as a singular opportunity to harness a demographic dividend by utilizing the youth as an agent of harmony and stability, frontline actors in combating various threats, drivers of greater productivity and intensified competitiveness. Both perspectives are right. If we carry on with business as usual and neglect the imperative of taking extraordinary measures to transform our economies in order to give millions of young people a better chance to build stronger nations, we will definitely have a serious crisis in our hands. The difference between the two scenarios depends on how intentional, how ambitious, urgent, and futuristic the development agenda is. It is clearly evident that for a few decades now, Kenya has been firmly and emphatically committed in investing significantly in a future that will exploit the demographic dividend to drive national development agenda. This is for a while now. Primary education has been free of charge, with huge subsidies in secondary education and even university education under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The bottom-up economic transformation agenda will not implement itself. On the contrary, our best chance of actualizing the Kenya we want in social, economic, political, and even cultural terms is by wasting no opportunity in equipping our young people with the skills and capabilities that are not only competitive and relevant in the current global market, but also firmly aligned with the imperatives of the radical transformation of our economy. Our review of the CBC, increase of teachers, infrastructural expansion of learning facilities, development of technical and vocational education and training institutions throughout Kenya represent one side of the positive interventions aimed at securing the greatest share of youth dividend to power national growth. The other component of these measures are strategic interventions set out in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda in order to significantly enhance the productivity of labor across 5 priority sectors, create millions of jobs for young people over the next 10 years, provide necessary infrastructure and support for them to engage in innovation and creation, as well as other forms of employment in the digital economy. The National Youth Service is not just a witness and a participant of our bold intention to enlist the youth as the leaders and drivers of Kenya's transformation. It is an example of a dedicated program for empowering our youth for a lifetime of service across all sectors. This organization has re-emerged to become a highly trusted incubator of disciplined, self-motivated, skilled, productive youth who continue to make significant contribution to the success of various entities in both public and private sectors. I think the examples given by Minister Kuria in the collaboration with various state departments speak volumes of the capacity and the potential of NYS to power the transformation of our country. Thanks to the dynamism of the National Youth Service, the graduates of this institution are much admired, effective workers in every field, from agriculture to national security and administration, as well as building and construction, research, development, and innovation. Because of the rationalization of learning pathways in tertiary education, a number are also finding themselves on their way to careers in highly competitive domains. Recognizing the place of youth in national transformation in general, and that of NYS in powering the plan in particular, we have embarked on a strategic re-engineering of the National Youth Service to enhance the capacity of the institution to take up greater numbers of trainees, position it on the path of financial sustainability through revenue generation, thereby creating the conditions to support the expansion of enrollment to 100,000 young people annually in the next 5 years. Let me repeat that this year, we are graduating 10,000 young people from this field. Next year, in the first cohort, it will be 15,000. In the next cohort, it will be 15,000. So next year alone, 30,000 young people from across Kenya will graduate from NYS as we position NYS as the incubator for all other arms of government. And let me report here that when I was here last year, I did commit that we were going to include the National Youth Service in the review of salaries and working conditions of both the police, the prisons, and I committed that we are going to include the NYS, and we did. Let me confirm that as the report was presented to me and to government, National Youth Service, beginning the next financial year for 3 years, their salaries will be increased by 40% going into the future. Let me also confirm that I have approved the modernization and the re-engineering of National Youth Service so that in February next year, we will have an additional 200 cadets that will be trained to enhance the capacity of National Youth Service to train more servicemen and women as we use NYS to grow the pool of young people that are job ready, that are ready to take up responsibilities in different sectors. Additionally, another 500 servicemen will be trained to join staff of the National Youth Service, again in the effort to ensure that National Youth Service has the men, has the women to assist NYS train more young people. Vile tutakuwa tunaongeza wale watakuwa wanakuja hapa NYS, na nimesema ya kwamba kuanzia Februari mwaka unaokuja, hawa vijana kutoka Kenya mzima, namba yao itaongezeka kuwa 15,000. Enrollment ya mwezi wa 8 mwezi ujao, mwaka ujao itakuwa 15,000 ingine, na polepole kwa miaka 5 tutakuwa na vijana 100,000 kila mwaka watakao shiriki katika mafundisho ya National Youth Service. Vile vile nimesema ya kwamba ili kutumia NYS as an incubator, the National Security Council has decided that going forward, all security recruitment, 80% of all security recruitment will be from the National Youth Service. Wale vijana wote sasa tumeamua kama baraza la usalama katika taifa la Kenya kwamba wale wote watakaoajiriwa kwa jeshi la Kenya, kwa polisi wa Kenya, Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service, asilimia 80, 80% watakuwa hawa vijana ambao wamefuzu kutoka National Youth Service. Vile vile tumekubaliana ya kwamba National Youth Service katika ile harakati ya kupanga vijana watakaoenda kufanya kazi katika nchi ya nje. Already we are concluding negotiations with Germany, we are concluding negotiations with Saudi Arabia, we are concluding negotiations with another 8 countries on export of labor. And the National Youth Service is going to be the central organization for pre-deployment training so that Kenyans understand what they need to do when they go out for work as labor that is exported from Kenya. Let me also confirm that as part of the modernization of National Youth Service, which we have agreed will be underway, NYS is going to participate in many fields. in making sure that they support civil works, as has been said, in the housing program and in many other programs, in dam desilting and many other programs. NYS is also going to participate meaningfully in growing food around Kenya because they have the capacity to do it and they have done it in a very exemplary way. We are going to enhance and modernize the equipment that NYS have. As part of that modernization program, the negotiations I had with Prime Minister Modi last week of the $250 million US that we negotiated for agricultural mechanization, 50 million or 7.5 billion Kenya shillings is going to be made available for agricultural mechanization of the National Youth Service. I am therefore instructing the Minister, Moses Kuria, to liaise with Minister Professor Ndungu to facilitate the expedition and expeditious plan to make sure that NYS benefits from the facility that we negotiated last week with the government of India. The strategic plan covering 2023-2028 identifies the appropriate business model and governing framework to deliver the ambitious objectives of re-engineering framework that was developed by the National Youth Service leadership in conjunction with a multidisciplinary team of experts led by the University of Nairobi. It is important that the National Youth Service doesn't just offer theoretical and practical training within its campuses, but it also tests its output in the marketplace in order to constantly improve its relevance and competitiveness while generating revenues to sustain its programs. I welcome the suggestion by the Governor of Nakuru to work with the National Youth Service in your TVETs and in your vocational training colleges. We will make this facility available for you or your facilities so that we can use this facility to support your TVET and your vocational institutes. Already, the National Youth Service re-engineering blueprint is bearing fruit. The service has already expanded the acreage under food cultivation to support the food and nutrition security component of our agenda, from 1,600 to 2,500 acres already under production. The National Mechanization Program under the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development is an opportunity to enhance the activity in the Mavoloni and other river field units after the completion of the mega dams intended to supply a total of 1 billion liters of water for irrigation, among other uses. And I look forward to looking at that plan, and I look forward to being brief about the development of that plan so that we can support it and actualize what NYS has planned to achieve. Similarly, it is commendable that the infrastructural expansion of NYS itself is relying on its internal skills and capacities. The construction of the Yada Field Unit will, for instance, use over 80,000 interlocking building blocks in building 6 new classrooms by February 2024. As a result, the Advanced Building School will be able to relocate from this campus to Yatta, thereby creating space for additional recruits, as I said, for the next cycle of recruitment. I congratulate the National Youth Service for completing the development of infrastructure which had remained stalled for many years. Barracks with capacity of 700 people, together with classrooms which accommodate 150 trainees, each have now been completed, and with the fabrication of 10,000 beds by the NYS Engineering Institute, the service will now be able to increase recruitment, as I said, from 10,000 to 15,000 at the next intake as we embark on the journey to ultimately expand capacities of NYS. For its part, the National Youth Service Mechanical and Transport Branch continued to drive self-reliance through the promotion of efficiency in the management of vehicles, plant, and equipment to profitably serve trainees and other stakeholders. For example, trucks and excavators have been leased out to the East African Portland Cement Company to support mining operation, and similar arrangements have been implemented in Machakos, Makueni, Elgeyo Marakwet counties, among others. I take this opportunity to also highlight the outstanding contribution of the service to the National Tree Planting and Landscape Restoration Campaign by propagating 35 million seedlings in various field units across the country, planting 10 million of these and making the balance of 25 million available for sale to various public and private sector entities. It is commendable that the service has committed the revenues generated from this exercise to the propagation of 3 tons of seeds of assorted species to the tune of 50 million seedlings by June 2024. Elsewhere, the NYS is collaborating with the State Department of Interior to desilt the tributaries of River Nyando and clean canals connected to it in order to prevent flooding during heavy rains. This program has now been extended to Nyakach, where dikes are also under construction with the same objective. Further, the service has now developed a mature and effective collaboration with the National Police Service in crowd control, securing strategic installations, the provision of emergency response services, including at the Integrated Communication Command and Control Center that is now very useful even as we manage the El Nino challenge. These examples demonstrate how busy the NYS is in meeting the great demand for its capacities in many sectors, and therefore its emerging role in taking our young men and women to the center of productive involvement in national transformation. The National Youth Service, ladies and gentlemen, therefore provides an eloquent answer to how Kenya has approached the youth question. We are systematic, intentional, and determined to succeed in equipping our nation's young people with capabilities and capacities to contribute effectively to the radical socio-economic transformation of our country by developing their knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities to make sure that not only is every single Kenyan youth productive, but that they are competitive enough to hold their own anywhere in the world. Every day, through consistent investment, robust strategy, and deliberate implementation, we bring the nation closer to the abundant fruits of our young and youth dividend. With our youth, our investment in the future is secure, and our capacity to confront the daunting challenges of today and tomorrow is strong. The National Youth Service is therefore an iconic institution whose entire identity represents the power of our national values in action, the promise of reimagining Kenya's nationhood irrevocably anchored in our national values and our capacity to face a complicated and uncertain future with a lot of confidence. This graduation ceremony is therefore a milestone in NYS's journey to mobilize young Kenyan men and women to make their full contribution to the transformation of our economy and a compelling demonstration of the Kenya's limitless promise when youth are equipped to lead the way into the future. I congratulate the National Youth Service community in its entirety for this achievement, and especially the tutors and parents who have engaged the trainees directly and continuously, motivating and supporting them to stay the course and do their best. I also commend and congratulate the graduates for completing their courses and taking a major step in getting ready to make Kenya a shining example of youth-driven transformation. I wish you great success, young people, and God's abundant blessings in the journey ahead as you proceed to forge a winning path for yourselves, your families, your communities, and our great nation, Kenya. Nawatakia baraka za Mungu katika safari yenu mkikamilisha hapa. Sasa mtaenda katika National Youth Service itself, na tunataka mafunzo mliopata hapa na pale mbele mtapata training katika sehemu mbalimbali, katika vitengo mbalimbali, ujuzi wa aina nyingi. Sote tutashirikiana pamoja na nyinyi. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. God bless you. Thank you very much.